Altice USA set to start trading on the New York Stock Exchange today. The company pricing its initial public offering at $30 a share last night, raising $1.9 billion in that deal. This is the second largest IPO of the year, behind Snap. Joining me right now in a First on Fox Business interview is the New York Stock Exchange President, Tom Farley. Tom, great to see you.
Good morning. Great to be back.
Congratulations. Another big deal for the NYSE.
We're doing our part for Tech Week. You know, we have a nice tech media telecom IPO in Altice. We're excited to have them. I'm going to leave here at the studio, go down to the New York Stock Exchange. Big group coming to watch the stock open on the floor of the NYSE, so it's my favorite kind of day.
It's always exciting to see that, and I remember all my days at the New York Stock Exchange. That was the big deal of the day. When you had a hot IPO, the world was watching. How important is it for you to get these big names that they want to go to the New York Stock Exchange? I mean, right after Snap, now Altice.
Yeah, I mean, candidly, it's a bigger deal just in general for the economy and for society to have the IPO market working, because a company, great company comes, they raise money, and sometimes they're going to give it back to old investors to reinvest. Other times they're going to invest in their business. So when I see them, we have two today. We have another company, iStar, great innovative CEO, Jay Sugarman, spinning off a REIT today. So we actually have two. And when I see a day like today, I get excited generally for the economy.
What about Blue Apron? You secured the listing for Blue Apron. Tell us about that deal. A lot of our viewers know Blue Apron, the food company. It's also gone public.
Sure, I can't say.
And it chose NYSE.
I can't say too much just because the IPO will be next week. Hasn't yet happened, but very excited to have Blue Apron as well. Another large IPO. I mean, substantially all the large IPOs come to the New York Stock Exchange. In fact, all of them over the last 3 years, top 25. And the reason is, when we open Altice's IPO today, that combination of humans and technology will be observable on the floor, and that helps make sure that that trade is really smooth, low volatility, tighter bid-offer spread than it otherwise would be. And so that's kind of our specialty. How
would you characterize IPOs in general these days? Because for a little while we were seeing a little dearth going on. Are things back, or are you still seeing a slow story?
Yeah, no, it's a good year. It's not a great year. It's a good year. We've done 44 IPOs in the New York Stock Exchange year to date. Last year was a terrible year. We only did 38 the entire year. We've already raised $18 billion in IPOs, including today, whereas last year we raised 13 and change the entire year. So this is a much better year. It's not a world record year, but it's a much better year, and it's principally because asset prices are at all-time highs. As your viewers know, the stock market indices are at their all-time highs. Volatility is very low. Interest rates are stable. So it's a really great environment for IPOs.
What does that tell you about the broader market? Because I guess if you have a company that wants to go public, I guess they're feeling confident about things. So there is a level of confidence that you get when you feel that IPOs are strong. So what does it tell you that the market is sort of stabilizing and come back?
That's exactly right. There's just broad-based confidence in the market. And if you look at our IPOs this year, more than any other year that I remember, it's very broad-based. We've had large biotech IPOs and tech, industrials with Gardner Denver, biotech was Biohaven, so on and so forth. The one industry that I'm a little less optimistic about is actually oil and gas. We had a whole lot of IPOs lined up in oil and gas when oil was at $52 a barrel. Now that it's at $43 a barrel, that has really our pipeline with respect to oil and gas has really dropped off.
Yeah, I could imagine, and that's what I want to ask you about, because the IPO that everybody's waiting for is the Saudi Aramco deal. Now, the reports say that that is ultimately going to choose the New York Stock Exchange. I know you were in Saudi Arabia recently.
I was.
Yeah, but executives traveled to Saudi. I don't know if it was anything part of Saudi Aramco. Maybe it was a completely different trip. But where do things stand on that listing?
The trip that you're referring to with President Trump was just a fascinating trip. We spent an entire day together with the administration and a number of luminary CEOs, along with the Saudi royals in the Royal Palace. With respect to listing, I'm not going to talk about it specifically, as you may have imagined. But again, the New York Stock Exchange, we're really purpose-built for large IPOs. And with respect to oil and gas, again, substantially all of the world's largest oil and gas companies, no matter where they list as a primary listing, they ultimately list on the New York Stock Exchange, or they choose the New York Stock Exchange as their primary listing. We have over $3 trillion of market cap for oil and gas companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So surely, if there's a great, efficient company such as a Saudi Aramco that's considering an IPO, we're going to knock on their door. We're going to compete for that business.
Of course.
Yeah.
There were reports that the president convinced the Saudis to list on the New York Stock Exchange. Is that true?
It's above.
That would be a big deal for you if
That's
the
above.
President of the United States convinced the Saudis to do the deal at the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, I'm sure he would be a great listings rep for the New York Stock Exchange. But that is above my pay grades. I won't comment.
Let me